The collection doctor. Zilthera adjusted her scanning equipment for the third time that morning. The silver device hummed softly as it mapped the small blue planet, spinning slowly in the view screen before her. This was supposed to be routine work. The Kethavari Collective had been cataloging new worlds for over 2,000 years, and most planets held little surprise anymore, but this world was different. Fascinating, she whispered to herself, watching the data flow across her screens. The planet called Earth showed signs of life everywhere, not just simple plant matter or basic animals, but complex creatures that had somehow survived in conditions that would kill most known species. The gravity readings made her antenna twitch nervously. The surface gravity was more than twice what her people were used to. The atmosphere was thick with reactive gases that would burn the lungs of almost every civilized race in the galaxy. Massive storms covered huge areas of the planet's surface, and the weather patterns showed violence that defied belief. Yet life thrived there. Captain Vexcol entered the observation chamber, his blue skin gleaming under the ship's artificial lights. "What have you found, Doctor?" "A death world, Captain. Class 12, possibly higher." She pointed at the readings. "Look at these numbers. The electromagnetic field is unstable. The surface experiences regular bombardment from space debris. There are massive volcanic systems that could destroy continents, ice ages that last for thousands of years, and somehow complex life has not only survived but evolved into something remarkable." The captain leaned closer to examine her data. "Remarkable how?" Dr. Zilthera pulled up images from their long-range sensors. The pictures showed creatures walking upright on two legs. They had built massive structures of metal and stone. Strange flying machines moved through their atmosphere. Most surprising of all, they seemed to be working together in large groups. "They show signs of advanced social behavior, Captain. Tool use, construction. They may even have primitive space travel capabilities." She paused, excitement growing in her voice. The Science Council would find these specimens incredibly valuable for study. Captain Vexcol nodded slowly. Collection missions were always approved when the specimens showed this level of development. The Kethavari had learned much about evolution and survival by studying species from harsh worlds. These creatures could provide years of research data. "Begin collection protocols, Doctor. Select a small population from an isolated area. We want healthy specimens, but we cannot risk alerting their entire species to our presence." Dr. Zilthera felt a thrill of scientific excitement. This would be the discovery of her career. She began scanning the planet's surface for suitable collection sites. After several hours, she found what she was looking for. A small settlement on the planet's third-largest continent showed fewer than 200 of the creatures. They appeared to be extracting minerals from the ground using basic machines. The site was far from any larger population centers, which would make collections simple and undetected. "Perfect," she said, marking the coordinates. "Isolated mining operation. Small population. No apparent communication with other settlements." The collection ships launched at dawn, ship time. Dr. Zilthera watched from the command center as 3 silver vessels descended through Earth's atmosphere toward the mining colony. The creatures below had no warning, no defense against technology thousands of years more advanced than their own. The stun nets deployed perfectly. Wide energy fields spread across the settlement, causing every creature within range to collapse unconscious within seconds. The collection teams worked quickly, loading the unconscious beings into transport containers designed for live specimens. Dr. Zilthera counted carefully as the creatures were brought aboard. 150 specimens, a perfect sample size for long-term study. The collection teams had also gathered examples of their tools, clothing, and basic technology for additional research. "Begin departure sequence," Captain Vexcol ordered. "Set course for Research Station 7. As the ship moved away from Earth, Dr. Zilthera began her initial examinations. The creatures were fascinating. They averaged about 2 meters in height, with dense bone structure that spoke of high-gravity adaptation. Their muscle mass was impressive even in unconsciousness. Their brains showed complex structure that suggested high intelligence. But what struck her most was their diversity. The specimens came in various skin colors, hair types, and facial structures. Even from one small settlement, they showed genetic variety that would take most species thousands of years to develop. "These beings are remarkable," she told her research team. "Look at this bone density. These muscle fibers. They are built like biological machines designed for survival in impossible conditions." Her assistant, Dr. Morthen, nodded in agreement. The preliminary scans show their cardiovascular systems are incredibly efficient. Their healing factors are unlike anything in our databases. Even their nervous systems seem designed for rapid response to threats. The specimens were placed in habitat chambers designed to mimic their home environment as closely as possible. The chambers had been used successfully for hundreds of other species. Climate control maintained perfect temperature and humidity. Automated systems provided nutrition optimized for their biological needs. Observation windows allowed constant monitoring without disturbing the subjects. Dr. Zilthara was particularly proud of the habitat design. The chambers were large enough for the creatures to move freely. They included sleeping areas, recreation spaces, and even small gardens with plants from their homeworld. By any galactic standard, these were luxury accommodations for research. Specimens. The first subjects began waking up. 12 hours after collection, Dr. Zilthara watched eagerly as they opened their eyes and began to move around their new environment. This was always the most interesting phase of specimen study, watching how different species adapted to controlled conditions. But something was wrong. Instead of the curiosity or confusion she expected, the creatures showed immediate signs of distress. They moved quickly around their chambers, touching every surface, examining every corner. Their voices rose in volume and intensity, though the translation systems were still working to decode their language. One specimen, larger than the others with distinctive markings on his clothing, seemed to be organizing the group. He moved from chamber to chamber, speaking to the other specimens through the connecting communication systems. His behavior suggested he might be some kind of leader or authority figure. Dr. Zilthara made notes about this apparent hierarchy. Most species showed some social structure, but these creatures seemed to have very clear chains of command even in captivity. As the hours passed, the specimens' behavior became more concerning. They showed no interest in the food provided, despite biological scans indicating they needed nutrition. They refused to rest despite obvious signs of exhaustion. Most troubling, they began working together to examine their chambers in ways that suggested they were looking for weaknesses or escape routes. Dr. Zilthara, Dr. Morthen said, approaching with a worried expression. The stress indicators for all specimens are extremely high. Their cortisol levels are beyond anything in our experience. If these readings continue, we could see serious health effects. Dr. Zilthara frowned at the data. Most species showed some initial stress when placed in new environments, but the levels she was seeing were dangerously high. More concerning, the stress didn't seem to be decreasing as the specimens became familiar with their surroundings. Increase environmental comfort parameters, she ordered. Improve lighting. Add more recreational features. These beings may need more stimulation than typical specimens. But as she watched the creatures pace their chambers with increasing agitation, Dr. Zilthara began to wonder if she had made a terrible mistake. These beings were not behaving like any species she had studied before. There was something in their eyes and their movements that spoke of capabilities her instruments might not be measuring. The leader specimen stopped pacing and looked directly at the observation window. Even though Dr. Zilthara knew the window appeared as a mirror from his side, she felt as though he was looking right at her. His expression was not one of confusion or fear. It was one of barely controlled rage. The experiment fails 3 months had passed since the collection, and Dr. Zilthara was beginning to question everything she thought she knew about specimen research. The beings from Earth were not responding to captivity like any species in the collective's extensive databases. She stood in her laboratory, reviewing the daily reports with growing concern. The translation systems had finally decoded enough of the creature's language to understand basic communication. They called themselves humans, and they had names for everything around them. But learning their language had only made the situation more troubling. Status report, Dr. Morthen, she said, not looking up from her datapad. Her assistant approached with hesitation. 12 more humans refused nutrition yesterday. Overall food consumption is down 40% from when we started. Sleep patterns remain severely disrupted across all specimens, and there have been 3 more deaths. Dr. Zilthara's antenna drooped. 17 humans had died since collection began. The medical scans showed no disease, no obvious injury. They simply seemed to waste away despite perfect environmental conditions and optimal nutrition. The collective's best xenobiologists had never seen anything like it. What does the leader say? She asked. The leader human had identified himself as Commander Jake Morrison. Unlike most specimens who gradually accepted their new environment, Morrison had grown more resistant over time. He spent his days organizing the other humans, maintaining what appeared to be military discipline even in captivity. He continues to demand release of all humans. He claims the deaths are caused by what he calls captivity stress. He insists that humans cannot survive in confined spaces for extended periods, regardless of comfort levels. Dr. Zilthera found this claim difficult to believe. The habitat chambers were larger and more comfortable than the living spaces many galactic species preferred. The humans had everything they needed for healthy survival. Yet the evidence was undeniable. They were slowly dying. Request permission to speak with Morrison directly, she decided. Dr. Morthen looked surprised. Direct communication with specimens was highly unusual, but the situation had moved far beyond normal research protocols. 20 minutes later, Dr. Zilthera stood outside Morrison's habitat chamber. The human was in the center of the space, performing what appeared to be physical exercise routines. Even after months of captivity, his movements showed strength and coordination that impressed her. "Commander Morrison," she said through the communication system, "I am Dr. Zilthera, lead researcher for this facility. I would like to discuss your people's condition." Morrison stopped his exercises and approached the observation window. Up close, his eyes showed an intelligence that made Dr. Zilthera uncomfortable. Most specimens learned to ignore the observation windows over time. Morrison seemed to study them constantly. "Doctor," Morrison said, his voice controlled but carrying an edge that made her antenna twitch. "Are you here to tell me when you're releasing my people?" "I am here to understand why your species is not adapting to the research environment. We have provided optimal conditions based on your homeworld's environment, yet your people continue to show signs of distress." Morrison was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was different, calmer but somehow more frightening. "Doctor, let me explain something about humans that your research might have missed. We are not laboratory animals. We are soldiers, miners, engineers, mothers, fathers, children. We have families, dreams, purposes. We have fought for thousands of years for the right to choose our own path. But you have everything you need here," Dr. Zilthera protested. "Optimal nutrition, perfect climate control, safety from all threats." "Everything except freedom," Morrison replied. "Doctor, humans would rather die fighting on a battlefield than live safely in a cage. That's not a flaw in our design. That's exactly why we survived when our world tried to kill us every single day." Dr. Zilthera felt a chill that had nothing to do with the temperature. "What do you mean when your world tried to kill you?" Morrison's expression changed. For the first time since capture, he smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. "You really don't know, do you? You studied our planet's surface, maybe ran some atmospheric scans, but you never looked at the real data." He moved closer to the window. "Doctor, Earth doesn't just have harsh weather. Earth has tried to eliminate life completely several times. Ice ages that covered most continents. Volcanic eruptions that blocked out the sun for years. Asteroid impacts that destroyed entire ecosystems. All worlds experience natural disasters," Dr. Zilthera said, though with less confidence than before. "Not like Earth. Not even close." Morrison began counting on his fingers. "In the last 100,000 years, our planet has experienced 6 major extinction events. Each one should have eliminated all complex life. Each one was survived by our ancestors because they were too stubborn to die and too smart to give up." Dr. Zilthera accessed her planetary database, searching for Earth's geological history. What she found made her legs weak with shock. The data was clear and terrifying. Earth's surface temperature had swung between extremes that would kill most known life forms. The electromagnetic field fluctuated wildly, allowing deadly radiation to reach the surface. Volcanic activity had been constant for millions of years. Ocean levels had changed by hundreds of meters repeatedly. Most shocking of all, Earth's gravity was not just high, it was variable. Tidal forces from multiple moons caused constant stress on the planet's surface. Living things on Earth had to be incredibly strong just to exist, let alone thrive. "My God," she whispered, using a human expression the translation system had taught her. "Now you're beginning to understand," Morrison said. "Humans don't just come from a dangerous world, Doctor. We come from a world that has been actively trying to eliminate us since before our species developed language. We survived by being smarter, tougher, and more determined than anything that tried to kill us." Dr. Zilthera's mind raced through the implications. She had captured specimens from what might be the most dangerous planet in the galaxy. More than that, these were survivors of conditions that would challenge any species' ability to exist. But that still doesn't explain why you cannot adapt to safe conditions, she said. Weakly, Morrison's smile returned, and this time it was genuinely frightening. Doctor, you're still thinking about this wrong. You keep talking about us adapting to your conditions. You haven't considered that we might not want to adapt. You haven't considered that we might be planning something entirely different. What do you mean? I mean that while you've been studying us, we've been studying you. Your security systems, your technology, your weaknesses. We know how many guards you have, what weapons you carry, how your life support systems work. Morrison pressed his hand against the window. We know that your species evolved on a low-gravity world with stable climate. You're physically weak, slow to react, and you've never had to fight for survival. Dr. Zielthera stepped back from the observation window. Are you threatening me? No, Doctor. I'm explaining reality. You captured 150 soldiers from a death world and put them in a confined space. You gave us months to study our prison and plan our response. You treated us like animals instead of recognizing that we are the apex predators from the most dangerous planet you've ever encountered. Morrison turned away from the window and walked back toward the center of his chamber. Just before the communication system closed, he spoke one more time. Doctor, you made one crucial mistake. You assumed that because we come from a primitive world, we must be primitive ourselves. You're about to learn that evolution on a death world doesn't create primitive creatures. It creates the most dangerous beings in the galaxy. Dr. Zielthera ran from the observation area, her mind filling with terror. She needed to contact the Science Council immediately. They had not captured specimens for study. They had captured weapons that were now planning to use them. The revelation, Doctor. Zielthera stood before the emergency session of the Science Council, her hands shaking as she presented her findings. The holographic displays showed data that challenged everything the Keithavari Collective believed about planetary evolution and species development. Honorable Council members, she began, her voice tight with barely controlled panic. I must report that our human specimens represent a threat level far beyond our initial assessment. Council Leader Ethamaran leaned forward in his chair. Explain, Doctor. Your initial reports indicated a primitive species suitable for standard research protocols. That assessment was catastrophically incorrect. Dr. Zielthera activated the planetary analysis display. We have completed a full geological and atmospheric study of Earth. The results are unlike anything in our databases. The hologram showed Earth spinning slowly, but now the data overlays revealed the true nature of the planet. Temperature readings showed extreme variations that would kill most known life. Atmospheric composition indicated chemical combinations that were actively hostile to biological development. Gravitational field measurements revealed crushing forces that would prevent most species from even standing upright. This planet should not support complex life, Council Member Vorthek observed. The conditions are beyond Class 12 Death World parameters. That's correct, Dr. Zielthera confirmed. Earth requires a new classification. Based on our analysis, it should be designated as the first known Class 15 Death World. But the planetary conditions are only the beginning of the problem. She changed the display to show evolutionary data. Earth has experienced no fewer than 6 major extinction events in the past million years. Each event eliminated between 60 and 90% of all life on the planet. Yet complex organisms not only survived, but continued to evolve into more sophisticated forms. Council Leader Ethmaran's expression grew grave. And the humans survived all of these events? Not just survived, they thrived. Each extinction event created evolutionary pressure that made their ancestors stronger, smarter, and more adaptable. The humans we captured are the end result of 1 million years of natural selection under the most hostile conditions imaginable. Dr. Zielthera brought up biological comparison charts. Consider these physical capabilities. Human bone density is 4 times greater than our own. Their muscle efficiency is beyond anything we've recorded. Their cardiovascular systems can function under stress levels that would kill most galactic species instantly. But surely their mental development suffered under such harsh conditions, Council Member Jexara suggested hopefully. On the contrary, Dr. Zielthera's voice grew even more strained. The constant survival pressure forced rapid brain development. Human intelligence is not just high, It's specifically designed for problem-solving under extreme stress. They don't think like us. They think like weapons. She showed brain scan comparisons between humans and other species. Look at these neural pathways. Where most species show reduced cognitive function under stress, humans show enhanced performance. Fear doesn't paralyze them. It makes them more dangerous. Council leader Ethmoran stood slowly. Doctor, are you telling us that we have captured specimens from a world that breeds apex predators? Worse than that, Council leader. We have captured apex predators who have developed space travel technology. Dr. Zilthera brought up the final piece of data that had sent her into complete panic. Our long-range sensors have detected faster-than-light-capable vessels in Earth's orbital space. The humans are not a primitive species we discovered. They are an expanding interstellar civilization. The council chamber fell silent. The implications were staggering. They had not captured specimens from an unknown world. They had kidnapped citizens of a spacefaring civilization that had evolved specifically to wage war against impossible odds. How long before they noticed their missing people? Council member Vorthek asked quietly. Unknown, but based on human social structure, probably soon. Their society appears to be built around group loyalty and protection of community members. Commander Morrison has told us repeatedly that humans will cross any distance to recover their people. Dr. Zilthera activated a recording of her conversation with Morrison. His words filled the chamber. Humans would rather die fighting on a battlefield than live safely in a cage. He wasn't speaking metaphorically, she explained. I believe this was a warning. The humans in our facility are not trying to adapt to captivity. They are planning resistance or escape. Council leader Ethmoran began pacing. What do you recommend, Doctor? Immediate release of all human specimens. Full apology and compensation. Complete destruction of all research data, and prayer to whatever gods we believe in, that they don't decide to respond with violence. Surely you're overreacting, Council member Jexara protested. They are only 150 individuals. What can they possibly do against our security systems? Dr. Zilthera looked at him with something approaching pity. Council member, you're still thinking about this wrong. These are not ordinary beings who might try to escape. These are soldiers from a death world who have had months to study our weaknesses. She brought up security footage, showing the humans during their daily activities. Watch their movements. Watch how they coordinate without speaking. Watch how they test every surface, every system, every routine. They're not adapting to captivity. They're preparing for war. The footage showed Morrison conducting what appeared to be exercises with the other humans, but viewed with Dr. Zilthera's new understanding, it was clearly military training. The humans were maintaining combat readiness and planning coordinated action. Most terrifying of all, she continued, is that our research shows humans bond instinctively with their group members. If Earth discovers what we've done, they won't respond diplomatically. They'll respond like a pack of predators whose family has been threatened. Council leader Ethmoran stopped pacing. How advanced is their technology? Unknown, but their faster-than-light capability appears to be sophisticated. If their other technology has developed at similar rates, they may be capable of things we cannot predict. Could they locate us? Dr. Zilthera's antenna drooped completely. Council leader, we took them from their home system. We have no idea what tracking technology they might have. We don't know what communication methods they use. We don't even know if the specimens we captured were important enough to search for. What do you mean? Commander Morrison appears to be military leadership. If humans value their military personnel the way most advanced species do, then Earth may already be looking for him specifically. The council chamber fell silent again as the full scope of the disaster became clear. They had not just captured random specimens. They had potentially kidnapped military officers from a death world civilization that had developed interstellar travel capabilities. Council leader Ethmoran made the decision that would save their lives. Emergency protocols. Release all human specimens immediately. Prepare full diplomatic packages including apology, compensation, and complete research data transfer. And send immediate communication to our home systems warning them about human capabilities. What about our research? Council member Jexara asked. Dr. Zilthera looked at him with disbelief. Council member, our research has revealed that we captured the most dangerous beings in the galaxy and held them prisoner for months while their people searched for them. Our research may have started a war with a species that evolved specifically to win wars. As the Council moved to implement emergency procedures, Dr. Zilthera returned to the observation areas one final time. Morrison was standing at his observation window, watching the increased activity in the corridors with calm interest. When he saw her, he smiled again. This time it was almost friendly. "Beginning to understand what you've gotten yourself into, Doctor?" "Commander Morrison, we are preparing to release all humans immediately. We apologize for the misunderstanding." Morrison nodded slowly. "That's probably wise, Doctor. But you might want to hurry." "Why?" Morrison's smile widened. "Because if I know my people, they've already figured out where we are. And Deathworlders don't negotiate for their family. They come to collect them." The hunt begins. Admiral Sarah Chen stood in the command center of the Earth Defense Force headquarters, staring at the holographic display that showed the last known location of mining colony Kepler 442b. The colony had gone silent 3 months, 2 weeks, and 4 days ago. Every attempt at communication had failed. Every long-range scan showed empty space where a thriving community of 200 people should have been. "Status report. Captain Torres," she said without turning around. Captain Maria Torres approached with a datapad in her hands and worry in her voice. "Still no contact, Admiral. Deep space monitoring shows no debris field. No signs of explosion or natural disaster. The colony infrastructure is simply gone." Admiral Chen felt the familiar cold anger building in her chest. Kepler 442b had been her brother's assignment. Commander Jake Morrison had been leading the mining operation there, turning raw materials into resources for Earth's expanding space program. Jake, who had served under her command during the Mars conflict. Jake, who had saved her life during the Europa Station incident. Jake, who was now missing along with every person under his protection. What about the investigation fleet? Commander Rodriguez's task force reached the system 2 days ago. They found evidence of advanced technology use, but nothing in our databases. Energy signatures unlike anything in known space. "Admiral, whatever took our people, it wasn't human." Admiral Chen turned to face her intelligence officer. "Aliens, yes, ma'am. The energy patterns suggest faster-than-light capability far beyond our current technology. Scanning beams that could have analyzed the entire colony from orbit. And most disturbing, evidence of precision extraction rather than destruction." "Extraction?" Captain Torres activated the holographic display. "The colony buildings are undamaged but empty. Personal belongings left behind, meals half-finished, equipment still running. Whatever happened was quick and selective. They took the people and left everything else." Admiral Chen studied the data with growing fury. This wasn't war, where enemies fought for territory or resources. This wasn't even conquest, where stronger civilizations simply took what they wanted. This was collection. Someone had taken human beings like they were gathering specimens. How long to mobilize the fleet? "The first battle group can be ready in 6 hours. The second and third groups can join them within 12 hours. Admiral Chen walked to the strategic planning table where Earth's military leadership was already gathering. General Harrison from Ground Forces, Admiral Reyes from the Space Marines, Director Kim from Intelligence. These were the people who had built humanity's defenses during their expansion into space. They had fought pirates, hostile environments, and equipment failures. They had never fought aliens. "Ladies and gentlemen," Admiral Chen began, 3 months ago someone took our people. Not our resources, not our territory. Our people. They kidnapped 200 human beings, including my brother. And they did it so smoothly that we didn't even know it was happening." She activated the main display, showing the investigation results. "Intelligence indicates this was done by non-human technology. We are no longer alone in the universe, and our first contact was not peaceful diplomacy. It was abduction." General Harrison leaned forward. "What do we know about their capabilities?" Director Kim answered. "Energy signatures suggest technology centuries ahead of our own. Faster-than-light travel that makes our drives look primitive. Scanning technology that could analyze everything about our colony from space. But Admiral, there's something else." "Go on." "We've been monitoring deep space communications for any signs of the missing people. Yesterday, our listening posts picked up something. A transmission in an unknown language, but coming from the direction our people were taken." Director Kim played the audio. Strange sounds filled the command center. Clearly artificial, but unlike any human language. The translation computers had no reference for the sounds. "We can't understand the words, but we can analyze the transmission characteristics." "Admiral, this wasn't a conversation or a report. Based on frequency analysis and repetition patterns, this appears to be a distress signal." Admiral Chen felt something cold settle in her stomach. Distress signal? Yes, ma'am. Someone in the direction our people were taken is calling for help. Repeatedly, with increasing urgency. The implications hung in the air like poison. If the aliens who had taken human prisoners were now sending distress signals, it could only mean one thing. The prisoners were not cooperating. Humanity's people were fighting back. Admiral Chen made the decision that would change First Contact forever. General mobilization. Every available ship, every available marine, every weapon system we can fit on a hull. We're not sending a diplomatic mission or a rescue request. She turned to face the assembled leadership. We're sending a battle fleet to get our people back. Admiral Reyes said carefully, we don't know what we're facing. Their technology appears superior. Perhaps we should attempt communication first. Admiral Chen's voice became deadly quiet. Admiral Reyes, someone kidnapped 200 of our people and held them for 3 months. They're now sending distress signals, which suggests our people are making their captivity as difficult as possible. The time for communication was before they took our citizens. She walked to the tactical display showing Earth's military assets. How many ships can we field? 47 combat vessels, Admiral. From destroyers to the new Dreadnought-class ships, the Retribution, Vengeance, and Determination are all available. Crew status? Full manning available within 8 hours. The crews are already requesting assignment to the mission. Word about the missing colony has spread through the fleet. Admiral Chen nodded. Human military personnel understood the concept of leaving no one behind. When one of their own was taken, the response was not diplomatic protest. It was overwhelming force applied with surgical precision. I want our most experienced combat commanders, people who fought in the Belt Wars, the Mars conflict, the Europa Station incident. This is not exploration. This is war. She activated the fleet communication system that would reach every ship, every base, every military installation in the solar system. This is Admiral Chen to all Earth Defense Forces. 3 months ago, aliens abducted 200 human beings from mining colony Kepler 4I-42b. These aliens made a critical error. They assumed that because we are new to space, we are weak. They assumed that because our technology appears primitive, we would not respond. The command center fell silent as her words reached every human military unit in space. They were wrong. We are the children of Earth, a planet that has tried to kill us every day for 1,000,000 years. We are the descendants of ancestors who survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and disasters that would eliminate most species. We do not negotiate with kidnappers. We do not bargain for the freedom of our people. Admiral Chen looked directly into the communication pickup. We take it. All ships are to report for immediate deployment. We will follow the energy trail to wherever our people are being held. We will demand their immediate release. And if that demand is refused, we will demonstrate why evolution on a death world creates the most dangerous soldiers in the galaxy. The response was immediate. Across the solar system, Earth's warships began powering their engines. Marines reported to their ships. Weapon systems came online. The largest human military force ever assembled began moving toward the edge of known space. Captain Torres approached with final intelligence reports. Admiral, long-range scouts have detected the source of the distress signals. It appears to be a large space station approximately 12 light-years from Earth. The signals are getting stronger. Admiral Chen smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. Then they're still alive, and they're still fighting. She turned to address the command staff one final time before departing for her flagship. Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to make first contact with an alien civilization. We're going to teach them something about humanity that they clearly don't understand. We don't just come from a dangerous world. We are the danger. As the Earth Defense Fleet prepared for faster-than-light jump, a final message was transmitted to the alien signals. This is the Earth Defense Force to the beings holding our people. Release them immediately and unharmed. You have one chance to avoid discovering why humans survived when our world tried to eliminate us. We are coming. The Reckoning, Doctor. Zilthara stood frozen in the command center of Research Station 7 as her sensors detected something that defied belief. 47 massive energy signatures had appeared at the edge of the system, moving toward the station with purpose and speed that spoke of military precision. Council Leader Ethmorin, she called through the emergency communication system. The humans have found us. The response came immediately, filled with panic that matched her own. How many ships? Dr. Zilthera checked her readings again, hoping she had made an error. 47 combat vessels, Council Leader. This is not a rescue mission. This is an invasion fleet. Captain Vexkol burst into the command center, his blue skin pale with fear. Doctor, the lead vessel is transmitting. They're demanding immediate surrender of all human prisoners. They've given us 1 hour. What did we tell them? Nothing yet. Council Leader Ethmoran ordered us to wait for instructions. Dr. Zilthera looked at her displays showing the approaching fleet. The ships were unlike anything in the galactic databases. Where civilized vessels were elegant and streamlined, these looked like they had been designed by beings who understood that space was just another battlefield to be conquered. Open communication to the human fleet, she ordered. Doctor, we have no authorization. Open the channel. Her voice carried authority that made Captain Vexkol step back. I am not letting this station become a war zone because the Council cannot accept reality. The main screen activated, showing the bridge of the lead human vessel. A human female in military uniform looked directly at her with eyes that reminded Dr. Zilthera of Commander Morrison. Cold, intelligent, and absolutely determined. This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force. You are holding human citizens against their will. Release them immediately. Dr. Zilthera fought to keep her voice steady. Admiral Chen, I am Dr. Zilthera, lead researcher for this facility. We are prepared to release all human subjects immediately. We apologize for any misunderstanding. Admiral Chen's expression did not change. Doctor, there is no misunderstanding. You kidnapped our people. You held them prisoner for 3 months. 7 of them are dead. The number hit Dr. Zilthera like a physical blow. 17 humans had died during captivity, but she had not told the humans about all of them. Somehow they knew anyway. Admiral, we did not intend harm. This was a research mission. We believed your people were primitive specimens suitable for study. Specimens. Admiral Chen's voice became deadly quiet. You treated human beings like laboratory animals. We provided optimal care based on galactic standards. Doctor, Admiral Chen interrupted. I'm not here to discuss your standards. I'm here to collect my people. You have 57 minutes remaining. The communication ended. Dr. Zilthera stared at the blank screen, understanding that diplomacy had failed before it began. The humans had not come to negotiate. They had come to take their people back by force if necessary. Captain Vexkol, begin immediate release of all human prisoners, full medical support. Prepare complete records of their treatment for transfer to the human fleet. What about our research data? Dr. Zilthera looked at him with disbelief. Destroy it, all of it. These beings are not research subjects. They are citizens of a military civilization that just arrived with enough firepower to reduce this station to atomic particles. As the crew rushed to comply with her orders, Dr. Zilthera returned to the observation areas. Commander Morrison was standing at his window, watching the increased activity with calm satisfaction. Commander, your people have come for you. Morrison smiled. I told you they would, Doctor. Humans don't abandon their own. How did they find us so quickly? Doctor, you captured military personnel from a spacefaring civilization and held us for 3 months. Did you really think we wouldn't have contingency plans? Morrison gestured toward the window. Every human ship has emergency transmitters. Every human soldier carries tracking devices. You've been broadcasting our location to Earth since the day you took us. Dr. Zilthera felt her legs give out. They had been tracked from the beginning. Earth had known exactly where their people were being held, and they had spent 3 months planning their response. We're releasing you immediately, she said weakly. I know, but Doctor, there's something you need to understand about humans. We don't just rescue our people. We make sure it never happens again. The habitat chamber doors opened, and humans began emerging into the station corridors. Dr. Zilthera watched in amazement as Commander Morrison immediately took charge, organizing the released prisoners with military efficiency, despite months of captivity. But what struck her most was their condition. Despite confinement, despite the deaths of their companions, despite being held prisoner by alien technology, the surviving humans moved like soldiers ready for combat. Captivity had not broken them. It had made them more dangerous. All human prisoners released, Captain Vexkol reported. Medical teams are providing immediate care for the weakened subjects. What's the status of the human fleet? Still approaching. No change in course or speed. Dr. Zilthera felt a chill of realization. Captain, they're not slowing down. She rushed back to the command center and opened communication to the human fleet again. Admiral Chen appeared on screen, but her expression had changed. The cold determination was now mixed with something far more dangerous. Admiral Chen, all human prisoners have been released and are receiving medical care. Good. Now we discuss terms. Terms? Admiral Chen's voice carried the authority of someone who had spent years making life and death decisions. Doctor, you kidnapped our people, held them in captivity, and allowed 17 of them to die. The release of the survivors is not the end of this situation. It's the beginning. What do you want? Complete records of your research. Full medical data on every human who died in your custody. The names and locations of every individual involved in the kidnapping. And most importantly, guarantee that this will never happen again. Dr. Zilthera understood that she was witnessing humanity's entry into galactic politics, not as supplicants seeking acceptance, but as a power demanding respect. We will provide everything you require, Admiral. Good. Because, Doctor, I want to make sure the galaxy understands something about humanity. We remember our enemies. We remember those who harm our people. And we never ever forget. Admiral Chen leaned forward. You're going to help us send a message to every civilization in known space. The message is simple. Humans protect their own. Touch our people, and discover why we survived when our world tried to kill us. As the human fleet moved into docking position around the research station, Dr. Zilthera realized that first contact had ended exactly as Commander Morrison had warned. Humans had not come to negotiate for their people's freedom. They had come to take it. And in doing so, they had announced to the galaxy that Earth's children were not victims to be collected or specimens to be studied. They were Deathworlders who had brought their fury to the stars. The age of humanity had begun, and it would be remembered not for diplomacy or peaceful exploration, but for the day an entire alien research station learned that caging apex predators was the last mistake they would ever make. Commander Morrison walked free through the corridors of the station, reunited with his sister and his people. Behind him, the research facility that had held him prisoner was being converted into a monument that would broadcast humanity's message across the galaxy for centuries to come. Humans had arrived among the stars, and they had arrived as themselves. Dangerous, loyal, and absolutely unwilling to be anyone's specimens. The galaxy would adjust accordingly.